So, welcome back to the Web3 Insights podcast and to episode 4 of our exclusive series with Andromeda Protocol. In our last conversation with Angela Brazington, we explored how Andromeda is building tools and the infrastructure to empower developers and onboard the next generation of builders into Web3. Today, we're going to go a bit deeper into the AI level of that vision with Myron, who is Andromeda's AI director and product lead and the creator of Pulsar, which is a foundational technology at the heart of the product's evolution towards an AI-powered agentic operating system. So we're going to unpack what Pulsar is and also what it took to build and refine and how it's set to stage for MCP, Model Context Protocol, the infrastructure for Andromeda's future as a virtual co-founder for builders and startups. So Myron, thank you so much for coming on. Absolute pleasure. Myron, as I say, it's great to have you here. I've spoken with many people within the team and Angela spoke very highly of you. First of all, can you just tell us a bit about your background and what led you into the role as AI director and product lead at Andromeda?
I kind of backed into it a little bit. I've been a technologist for 25 years. I come from the entertainment industry. Initially, I was a touring musician, and I just started making web pages for everybody. And then I started having events. When I started having events, I needed a ticketing system. That such a thing didn't exist. So in my region, I created the first digital ticketing system and used that for a while before the big boys came in. I took that whole system over. So from there, I just kind of got a bunch of different, technology jobs, for just creating different types of apps and different websites for folks. And then I got into deep learning 5 or 6 years ago, like machine learning, deep learning, that sort of thing. And then a couple of years ago, ChatGPT's beta happened, and I managed to get in on day 3 of the beta. And I was around a bunch of scientists that were working on a battery project. So there's some chemistry involved, electrical engineering, et cetera, and they were working their way through these mounds of data. And it was the aha moment for that was they were complaining about it. And I said, let's try this new tool out. And they're like, whatever. And so we shoved a bunch of data into the then version of ChatGPT, which wasn't anything compared to now. And it just worked absolute magic. And so from that point forward, I was just in, Well, fast forward a little further, maybe about a year down the line, and Cody from Andromeda, one of the founders of the Andromeda, called me up to initially just to ask me to do just kind of minor work with the group. And I was just talking about AI pretty much the whole time. And at that point, it hadn't blown up yet. So to them, it sounded like sheer magic. And they said, well, then you're the AI guy. So you're going to bring us as much information as possible. And so that I just ended up occupying that seat just before things really started cracking. Mm-hmm. So I got really, really lucky with that. It was all prefaced by, the company before. I was the COO of a Web3 based gaming company, and Cody and Connor, which are 2 of our founders, were our blockchain division. Basically, they were the nucleus of our blockchain division, and I got to be friends with them, and so they ended up pulling me into Andromeda. So I was lucky enough to just kind of basically back into the role, which allowed me to kind of flourish and find all the things out and really experiment and with the intersection of Web3 and AI and other technologies that I was messing with. So that's how that all hashed out. So
awesome. Here we are. Awesome. No, amazing journey. Let's talk about Pulsar. What exactly is it, and what role does it play in the Andromeda stack?
Well, currently, Pulsar is an AI-powered onboarding assistant integrated into, it's not directly integrated into the web app just yet. Right now, it's a separate thing. And the idea is its primary role is to welcome new users, to gather information about their background and interests through like a short series of questions, and then guide them through the most relevant resources or sections or whatever within the Andromeda community platform ecosystem, with the initial objective of version 1 being to basically give the users the best chance of some sort of quick success in our large ecosystem without having to fully wade through everything. Because as you know, even without all of the things that we've got going with the AOS layer and all that, like the operating system and whatnot, like getting involved with the blockchain is quite an undertaking, because it's just it's a big concept. You have to learn things in order to even get a foothold. So the objective of Pulsar is to the initial objective of Pulsar, like as it is right now, is to be like kind of a sorting hat for folks coming into the ecosystem, to drop them off in the proper place so that they can have an effective time, basically.
Yeah. Awesome. We heard about the, internally how much the testing, refining, and iteration, went into this. What was the development journey like for that? And, from initial like prototype to something stable enough to scale?
Well, the initial prototype was a fillable form. That was that was the idea at first, and then it just became really obvious pretty quickly that even though that would have worked, we realized it should be a chatbot. Obviously, and so I just kind of retooled to create a chatbot. I made 4 or 5 different versions with different frameworks to try to figure out what would work the best, and all that kind of thing. Spent a lot of time working on weighting and creating weights and whatnot for so that when folks came in, their answers would be evaluated and they get dropped off in the wrong place. So, and as soon as I saw the chatbot itself rendered for the first time, it was just obvious that it would be that format would lend itself to expanding the initial conversation-oriented chatbot into like a handoff sequence. So right now it's the sorting hat, but eventually future iterations, and not even eventually, it's going to happen pretty quickly. Future iterations will not only be able to direct users to their proper spot, but they'll be able to help with the creation process in different ways. The creation process, or wherever they land, wherever the people land. If it's creation, that's great. If it's being an ambassador, that is also great. Whatever it is that they decide to do, or to land in our ecosystem. So at this point, we're testing this handoff process as well as different agentic build assist methods to see what looks like the most robust and future proof. That's kind of the big question right now, because the technology segments of this technology are coming and going pretty quickly. Like this is moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So of course, model features are spinning up fast. So who knows what's going to get supplanted later? But at least we're aware of that. We're trying to decide on the most efficient and effective ways to proceed. And it looks an awful lot like MCP is going to be a winner, is going to be around for a long time. So that looks to be like the 2 big things that are happening right now that are extremely interesting to us for our platform are MCP and just browser automation. So browser use, which is browser use and computer use, are closely related. They're not the same thing, but yeah, it's a pretty obvious that that's what we needed to work on next, and so that's what we started working.
For sure. I mean, it's clear to see obviously Pulsar is just the beginning, and as you say, just then you're now laying the foundations for something called model context protocol. So can you explain what is MCP, and why is it key to building an AI native infrastructure in Web3?
Sure. Well, Model Context Protocol, MCP, it's envisioned as like a foundational layer for building AI native infrastructure within any ecosystem. So one good description of it is it's like an open source plugin system for agents, pretty much. That's the easiest, simplest way to just describe what it is. It's designed to enable AI models to interact with and utilize context from various sources to be within Web3, such as like on-chain data, decentralized storage, all that kind of stuff. So this is key because AI models require rich, relevant context to perform complex tasks and make informed decisions. So MCP in Web3 anyway, it's often distributed and requires a specialized protocol to access and interpret things. So initially, I was trying to wrap our CLI with an MCP server. And I found that that's not really going to be the best way to do it. We're not that tool is not set up for it, but it's built on andr.js. It's our little package that runs everything. And so at this point, I'm in the middle of wrapping that. The idea is to create an MCP server that will run that. So I've got to basically take that, wrap it in like an Express.js setup, and then put that on Vercel or something. And so that's kind of, I'm in the middle of doing that actually this week. So hopefully I can get that together and start testing that. But the objective with the MCP is to be able to allow users to access our AOS and our suite of tools through whatever chatbot they happen to be using in their tool set. So MCP is now compatible with Cursor and a bunch of other tools. Cursor is probably the one that I would use it the most with, and most folks probably use it the most with. So the objective is to be able to use our suite of tools through conversation inside of Cursor's agent, and I think that's probably within reach. So I'm chipping away at that right now.
Nice.
And,
so
hopefully,
if I'm not wrong in saying, you've previously described Andromeda's goal as becoming a sort of virtual or technical co-founder. What does that mean in practice for founders, developers, or teams building on chain?
Well, so we're hoping to create tools that allow users to build without needing a team of devs, basically. Mm-hmm. The general wisdom is that agents will allow users to deploy blockchain backends across the archipelago of different chains that perform the best on whatever their given tasks are. And then other agents will help design, and deploy and maintain the front end. So, I mean, that is a technical co-founder, essentially. So if you can basically take someone who has an idea of what they want to do and then guide them into creating using an agentic system, that's a technical co-founder.
Yeah. Amazing. There's obviously a lot of buzz, around autonomous agents in Web3 and AI at the moment. How does Pulsar fit into that broader conversation, and what differentiates Andromeda's approach?
Well, Pulsar as an AI onboarding assistant can be seen as an initial step toward building a more sophisticated AI agents system within the Andromeda ecosystem. So while Pulsar has a specific guided function right now, the sorting hat function, the broader vision involves developing autonomous agents that can perform a wider range of tasks on behalf of the users or protocols, within Web3. So Andromeda's approach to agents is differentiated by its focus on providing like a robust AI native infrastructure initially through our interface, and then through MCP, and then through browser use, which will allow these agents to access and utilize the decentralized context effectively. So this infrastructure is intended to enable agents that are not just automated scripts, but truly intelligent quasi-entities that can understand complex Web3 environments and contribute meaningfully, aligning with the AI co-founder concept by providing proactive support and capabilities.
Mm-hmm. So what does the next phase look like then? Are developers able to interact with Pulsar today? And also, what kinds of new capabilities or integrations are you working on next?
Well, Pulsar, as it is right now, it's been released to a very small group of initial like alpha testers, and then I think next week we're going to release it to another small group of beta testers. Because I've done numerous rounds of iterations at this point, and so next week we're gonna do another limited release, make sure nothing breaks, make sure everybody's happy with it. And then hopefully within the week or two after that, we'll have an initial blast where we can allow the public to use the first version of it. Of course, the first version of it, I don't know if I'm actually going to leave the placeholders on there or not, because I've already started creating a stack of agents that would constitute this handoff that I was telling you about. So like right now, if you say you you use it, and it'll drop you off in a spot where basically you'll get a page that has a bunch of documentation, maybe tutorials, links to things, that sort of stuff, links to possibly, contracts or quests or who knows what, contracts that you could bid on or quests that you could do. But the next phase would also include handoffs to various agents. So say you're an artist and you mentioned that during your conversation, then you would, get a link to or possibly be passed off to like the artist helper agent that would help you through the process of, I don't know, creating an NFT with images, who knows what. So yeah, that's the direction that we're going right this moment.
Yeah.
And then that's not even figuring in like the MCP server and the browser use scenario. So
Amazing. If we fast forward 12 to 18 months from now, what do you hope to see come alive from what you're building today with Pulsar and AI at Andromeda?
I mean, personally, I would like to go as far down the AI co-founder, AI technical co-founder rabbit hole as possible. Hopefully, folks that have little or no technical acuity but tons of ideas will be able to come in, speak to the initial agent, which would then pass off to the next version, the next agents to help them with creation and deployment of their project. So with any luck, within the next year, we'll basically have a fully autonomous system that somebody can come in and similar to like a Bolt.new, except for Web3, Web3 kind of uses.
Yeah, awesome. Also from your side, are there any plans for ecosystem collaborations, maybe AI agents, B apps, or infrastructure partners that will help surcharge the operating system and make it more developer friendly?
Could you repeat that question?
Yeah, no worries. So are there any like plans for ecosystem collaborations, like maybe AI agents or B apps or infrastructure partners at all that are upcoming? Or
Well, we've done a lot of networking, and I know that I've been put on numerous Telegram groups for developers, for like Eliza's developer group. I'm in one of Virtual's groups, just kind of checking out what they're doing. We haven't actually created Synergies yet, but we've been talking through it, because right now we're building tools. And our tools are going to be useful to other agents. So that's actually where, as far as I can tell, that's where the first round of main synergy is going to come from. Because as soon as our tools come online in such a way to where they're usable by all the agents, then we can make them available to any agent that is, or agentic system even, that is compatible with MCP. So that would be the initial scenario. And I've done some work with the Eliza framework, but that's actually in rapid development too. So it was difficult to nail something down to where we could actually use it in a production sense, considering our development cycle and where their development cycle was at the time. They just recently released a version 2, so we might revisit that. Probably will revisit that.
amazing. And just finally, Myron, I know obviously yourself and Angela do talks at universities quite regularly. I'm keen to just get your one bit of advice that you would give to anyone new that is entering this space, either straight out of university or looking to transition from Web 2 into Web 3.
Well, someone that's looking to transition from Web 2 to Web 3, gosh, that's an interesting question, because everything seems to be getting tokenized right now. Mm-hmm. So now, for a while, there was a lot of talk about, well, you shouldn't learn how to code. I think that's probably not the best advice, because the folks who are going to have the easiest, earliest wins aren't necessarily going to be engineers, but they're going to know how things are supposed to fit together. Yeah. So right now, a lot of the agentic build stuff, they're calling it AI slop. because there's a lot of folks that are building things that don't have like proper, they're not using, practices necessarily for security and things like that. So though great ideas are now becoming functional, the whole idea of making everything super secure is just now starting to come into focus because folks are starting to realize kind of how big the hole is in that. So if I was going to say, hey, make sure that you know one thing going into the next, next era, I would say like start looking at security. Look at agent security, because that's going to be a big thing in the next year or two. For sure.
Amazing. And that's great advice. Myron, thank you so much for coming on and for giving us, such a detailed look behind the curtain. Pulsar is obviously a huge milestone, not just for Andromeda, but for anyone thinking about, how AI and Web3 infrastructure converge to enable autonomous modular development. To dive deeper into Pulsar or the upcoming MCP architecture, do head to andromedaprotocol.io. You can also check out, I believe, if I'm not wrong in saying, Myron, a full walkthrough demo on YouTube, which on Andromeda's YouTube channel, which introduces Pulsar as well. So go and check that out. This has been episode 4 in our Andromeda series, so stay tuned for more deep dives into the teams and tech building a smarter, more automated future. And Myron, thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you so much, Aaron. Thanks for having us.